Welcome back to Double Fries No Slaw. Could Florida State land a five-star cornerback in this 2026 class? Let's talk about it. Now, I know before we get into things, and none of it matters. It matters when they sign. It matters when you get them on campus, because even after they sign, they can ask out of their paperwork and they can go somewhere. I get all that, right? They could flip after half a semester. They can end up never playing for you. Who knows, right? I understand all that. However, Florida State coming off of 2-10, if they could go out and land a premier player, like a five-star defensive back, that has to feel good, right? Now, you do have to get to signing day. You do have to actually get him to sign with your school. But I do think that this would be a massive step in the right direction if Florida State can start to and continue to land this kind of talent. We've never really questioned the recruiter that Pat Surtain is, right? We have always said, hey, he's probably got the most juice on the trail when you look at the entirety of the staff. And with new staff members who we at times have already been somewhat critical of, who we've already had some questions about, some concerns about, though it is early, this feels like a step in the right direction if Florida State can get it done. We'll talk more about that big picture in just a second, but today we're talking about Chauncey Kennan, a five-star cornerback from Booker High School in Sarasota, Florida, a huge target for the Seminoles in this 26 class. Zach Blostein of Noles 24/7 put in a crystal ball. Others have joined him, making predictions on different websites, and it seems like at this moment, now I know, knock on wood, right? Because we're FSU fans and it never goes our way on signing day with our top recruit, but knock on wood right now, it feels like the Seminoles are in the best possible spot to land his services. Long way to go between when he eventually commits, hopefully to FSU, and signing day. I understand that. We also have questions about, hey, will Florida State win enough games for their staff to be retained next year? Another big question. Another thing we'll talk about a ton from now until that Alabama game. But if you're the Seminoles, you can only control what you can control right now. And in the middle of June, getting him would be massive, right? Do you have to hold on? Yes. Do you have to win enough games to get to next year? Yes. All those things are important, for sure. But control what you can control at this point. And if you would be able to pick him up, it'd be a huge deal. 6'2", different websites have him listed at different weights, somewhere between 175 and 185. A really good long frame, ideal for a corner, really good, like I said, length, agility. He covers receivers very effectively. He's good at getting in the middle and disrupting passing lanes. Number 31 overall player by 247 Sports. He's their number one cornerback. Number 6 overall prospect in Florida. On3 has him as a top 60 player. He's their number 5 cornerback. Again, top 10 player in the state of Florida. ESPN at number 44. He's their number 4 cornerback. And then I don't know what Rivals is doing, but they've got him at 239. Their number 24 overall cornerback. Composite rankings, number 72 overall for 247 Sports. And the On3 industry has him at number 68 overall. Rivals really screwing up that composite ranking. However, maybe they'll adjust at some point and raise him up a little bit to match the other ones. That outlier is certainly impacting that. As a junior, he had 33 tackles. 23 of them were solo tackles, 1 for a loss, a forced fumble, 16 pass breakups. He had an interception returned for a touchdown. School went 10-4. Reached the 3A state semifinals. He did have some contributions as a wide receiver too. 10 passes caught, 317 yards, 6 touchdowns. In his standout game, a 64-0 win, he had 3 receptions for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did have an interception for a touchdown and had 3 pass breakups in a playoff game, that semifinal to Raines High School. Two-way player, he's very versatile, shines on both sides of the ball. His track running sister at FSU strengthens his ties to the program. His length and speed make him a prototype for an elite cornerback, often keeping quarterbacks from even throwing to his side of the field. He's been offered by everybody. There's no point in running down this list, but some highlights: Florida, Miami, Georgia, LSU, Oregon, Alabama, Michigan, Texas, A&M, Ole Miss. He has narrowed his list down much lower. Florida State, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Miami, Oregon in April of 2025 all made his top 6. He also announced a commitment day of July 6, 2025, commenting on why that was the perfect date for him. Now, I'd love for this to happen sooner than that, but if that's when he does pick, I like where Florida State sits on this. I think he's a good fit for FSU. I think under this new defensive system that we'll have, assuming everybody's back again next year, Tony White seems to be really hyped about this. He's tweeting some eyeball emojis and different things after this visit that kind of lined up with some predictions that went in. And then again, you know what Pat Surtain is on the defensive backfield at that position, the development that he's done, the work that he's put in at Florida State, both recruiting and development-wise. You got to like where Florida State sits there as well. I think that big picture, if Florida State's able to pull this off, we say this all the time, but guys want to play with other ballers. And I think that Florida State is in a unique position where they can offer immediate playing time, still a very competitive NIL. I don't think that they can match NILs with certain programs that are out there, but certain things that factor in, like Pat Surtain being your DB's coach, certainly the best DB's coach in the state of Florida, his sister running track. I just think the family ties, the emphasis that Florida State has put on, and then trying to get him to Tallahassee, all of that combined puts them in a good spot. At the same time, you've got to finish, right? If you're able to land this 5-star, if you're able to pull him in, all of the comments that'll say, oh, it doesn't mean anything. You're right. You are absolutely right. And we'll celebrate it when it happens. We'll be thankful if he does commit to FSU, but then it is a wait and see game. Unfortunately, under Mike Norvell, it has been a complete wait and see game. Can they hold on? At this point, Kennan almost feels like a must. If Florida State lands him, if they get his commitment here in July, right, early July, then you've got to figure out a way to hold on. Now, if there's a coaching change, if a DB coach leaves, if something massive happens, I guess you could kind of understand that. If you go 2-10 again or 4-8 again, yeah, I mean, you're going to have some attrition there in your recruiting class. And so at that point, you're probably not even having the same coach still in Tallahassee. But if you take care of business this year and you know, take care of business in the way of make it to 2026, if you're Mike Norvell, if you go 7-5, 8-4 or better, and you're back again for next year, you've got to hold on here. The trend cannot continue where you get a super highly rated guy, a 5-star type talent, and then see him flip at the very end. If that happens, I almost don't even care what the results on the field are this year. You've got to find a coach that can hold on to talent when they've got them, you know, committed to the class. We spoke with Michael Alford about that. We asked him about just some of the concerns in recruiting, some of the lackluster high school recruiting that we've had, and he said that is something he monitors. And so if Florida State's able to pull it off, I think that at this point, you've got to really go all in to keep him. You've got to keep up that connection. Obviously, you've got that with both familial connections and the relationship with Pat Surtain, former coach there. I do think that Florida State's not only in a good position here, for some reason, I don't know if I'm that dog that just keeps believing the master is going to do the right thing, or if I'm just jaded or what. At this point, I do think that Florida State not only lands him, but outside of a coaching change, outside of something massive there, I actually think they find a way to hold on. I think they've just been burned so many times. I think they keep the pressure on, and I think they keep him if they get his commitment in July. I know that sounds crazy. I know that I'm probably trusting something that I shouldn't, but I do like where Florida State sits. He's certainly been on campus enough. You get him to commit now. You get him to visit at least once in the season. If not, if you can get him a couple of times, even better. And then you go out and try and win as many games as you can to keep people in your class. What are your thoughts here? Can the Seminoles hold on? Can they get his commitment here in July? Does somebody else swoop in at the last minute with a crazy NIL offer? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love for you guys to let me know what you think down below. Are you checked out of recruiting? Do you not even care? Well, you clicked on the video and you watched this long, so I guess you care a little bit. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. We appreciate you guys, as always, for watching. And stay tuned, because hopefully the Seminoles will have good news here coming up in just a couple of weeks with a 5-star DB. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Go Noles.